Pinot
Hello,
Chardonnay.
hello everyone. Welcome to Art Toast. I'm very happy to be here, Art Toast Live at Café Coda, and happy to be here co-hosting this exhibition with Hannah John Taylor from here on out. Keep the arts alive here at Café Coda. Donate now at Café Coda Facebook. Correct me if I'm wrong. GoFundMe, Café Coda. Keep Coda alive. This is a Madison treasure here. Let's keep it shining in the neighborhood and online until we can gather here again to experience live jazz with Hannah John Taylor and other stellar performers. And in the meantime, what we're going to do tonight is celebrate the arts with two lovely artists I have here today with me, Carrie Morgan and Keysha Monique Mabra. Welcome, and we usually start off with an art toast. So welcome, wonderful to have you here. Thank you for coming out and excited to talk about your artwork.
Thank you.
Everybody raise a glass. And we are not promoting drinking of any kind. You can drink water, whatever you like. So just enjoy the evening and the festivities. So I also want to thank our sponsors. The show that we're doing, the group exhibition From Here On Out, is inspired by some of the current events that were going on. We're celebrating Black lives and Black artists, and we need sponsors to help put the event on. Everybody knows COVID has thrown us for a loop, and the weather's thrown us for a loop. So we really want to generously thank our sponsors who generously donated: Dane Arts, Douglas Art and Framing, Moyer Art and Frame, Amonte Art, Artisan Dental, Madison Music Experience, and Martin Glass, Unity, Meritor Health, and other generous community members. So thank you again for sponsoring the event and allowing us to bring the arts to Madison.
Thank you.
More sponsorship opportunities are available at integratedart.com, as well as information about the exhibition and the opening reception this Sunday. A little bit about Marzen and Integrated Art Group. Marzen is Integrated Art Group's gallery showroom. We're based in Madison, in the heart of the Atwood-Shank neighborhood. We are a full-service art consulting firm with a national reach. Currently, Marzen is primarily a showroom for our industry partners and clients. However, I do get inspired to mount special exhibitions, and you know, when I went downtown and saw the current events and things that were going on, the mural "Silence is Violence" just hit me so deeply, along with so many other messages I saw down there. It was June, and I was like, I've got to do a show. Like, I have to do something about this to keep the conversation going. I mean, the protesters are going to come and go. The cameras are going to come and go. The press is going to come and go. We have to keep the conversation going. This is important. This is life-changing. It's imperative. And I'll be toasting Art Toast here at Coda, Café Coda, every third Thursday through February. So details will be posted on all our social media and at the Integrated Art Group website. So tune in again every third Thursday through February. Marzen and Café Coda, we're co-hosting From Here On Out, and it is a fundraising event, an art exhibition. The fundraising event is, I have asked the artists that are participating in the show to, if they want to select a charitable organization that they want to support, and Integrated Art Group and Marzen will donate from our proceeds to those organizations. So again, it's important to support our local communities and everybody out there, you know, doing good and making things happen and making a difference. A little bit more on the exhibition From Here On Out. We are celebrating Black lives and Black artists. The exhibition opens on October 25th and runs through March 1st. We had a lot of fun festivities planned for this Sunday. We'll see what happens. The weather is supposed to be 40 and rainy. So instead of having a big fun event in the parking lot to be COVID compliant, we are moving things indoors and we're going to scale it back a little bit. So Hannah John Taylor will be featuring his trio, and there will be live painting by Tony Cardaruccia. Please check the website again for updated information.
Sounds lovely.
Tickets for the event are available now. Space is limited. Purchase tickets and art online at integratedartgroupllc.com. I'd also like to let everybody know that we have extended the artist submission for the group exhibition from here on out. The gallery space is set up beautifully. I'm so excited to share that with you all very soon when the exhibition opens on Sunday. But again, because of COVID, we're not able to have a lot of people through the gallery, so we're doing this as a virtual event. The live stream during the reception on Sunday will be broadcast, and the exhibition and the artwork will be online to view and purchase. So we have about 12 artists represented in the gallery right now, and there are 20 and plus. You know, we're going to add new artists every week, so check back often and pick up some of your favorite pieces. I'm just so impressed by all of the art we've gotten in. It's really, really, really exciting to me. So I want to talk a little bit about, why this event. And I mentioned that, some of the murals and messages downtown and just the current events that have been going on really, struck me in a way that made me take pause and think, like, what can I do differently? And silence is violence. When that message for me really resonated, and I have to speak out. And Black Lives Matter, founded in 2013 with the acquittal of Trayvon Martin. I mean, they are an organization whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power, intervene in violence on black communities by the state and vigilantes. These things are going on now and they need to stop. So we have to keep this conversation going. We want to celebrate Black lives. We want to bring joy. And we just, want to make sure that everybody's doing what they can to make sure that everybody is treated fairly and equally and that there's justice. And I took a look at, my gallery, my art practice, and, how I bring art into the world. And some of the artists that we represented, I represented one or two black artists. And I thought, this is nuts. I know that there are other black artists, artists of color in the community that we can work with. And when we work with our clients and corporations and healthcare organizations, diversity is always something that we bring to the table. And what a wonderful way to do that through artwork. So we're going to, keep bringing that forward. And, as an art consulting firm and gallery, we acknowledge that artists of color have been underrepresented in both art institutions and in commercial galleries. So we want to do our part to change that going forward. And, so during tonight's art toast, I guess we can raise a glass again. Toast everybody.
Gladly.
I'm going to talk tonight with two of these multifaceted artists, mural artists, Carrie Morgan and Keysha Monique Mabra. I'm sorry, I keep butchering your name.
It's okay. It's Mabra. It's okay.
Mabra. I'm going to get it right. One more thing I want to add, you can use the comment section, right? So we would love, what we're going to do in a little while is we're going to cut to some footage and view the murals that these artists created and have a little conversation. But when we come back to this set here, We'd really love to have audience participation, so put your comments in there, and we'll be sure to respond to any of your questions or comments as we're having our conversation here. So as I mentioned, we recently met on location, and we're gonna take a look, and here we go. So I was wondering if you guys can tell me a little bit about like the murals downtown and how that all came about for you.
I just really felt part of this movement. So that's where it really stemmed from when all the riots transpired. My sons were really involved in protesting, and so once all that started happening, I was filled with all kinds of emotions, mostly relief, because now something's being done and our voices are now being heard, and so it was pretty exciting, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I was transporting protesters up and down, and going and bringing water and just doing all those things, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I hope the momentum just keeps going, and I want to see what else I can do for it. And painting natural, so when painters started painting, I'm like, oh yes, I believe State Street should have been looked like that. It's just wonderful. I loved all the paintings. I was like, okay, where can I do some? And Karen Wolf also was like, well, you can do some up here with these guys. And I'm like, yes, I'm doing it. So I was like, yes, I'm in here. I'm part of it. Like, now I can express myself this way also. And then it just brought me to further thinking of how I can use my platform as an educator to continue being involved in the movement and giving my 2 cents. And so it was just very exciting to just have the art as the inspiration.
This is what we're doing with From Here On Out. The exhibition is engaging Black artists, celebrating Black art, and then continuing to call out for people of color to be involved and share their creativity and their works can get out into the world. Mm-hmm. So it like the artwork down there really just sparked it for me too. Like it all did, like all the events. It just like I have to do something now. And what about you, Keysha? You told me a little bit about the murals downtown.
Everything that I was doing was about healing and helping other people and giving back, because I had so much guilt and shame, and I wanted to do something colorful. I would see these magazines that were sitting, or the Hughes newspaper. I would pick stuff up, free publications. I'll just say what it is, they're free. So I'd pick at stores, and I started cutting stuff out that stuck out, that stood out to me. Like I'd see words. I wish I could read my, here I'll show, do a little advertisement there. But that's one of my collage pieces that it's just aims at, it's like a cognitive therapy piece, which I did a lot of in treatment, which I fell in love with, is just reshaping those initial thoughts that come to mind in a situation where we're faced with like fight or flight. One day I woke up and I thought, I'm going to look online and see who I might be able to talk with. I was directed to Karen Wolf, and I left her a voicemail, and the next day she called me back and left me a voicemail. I sent her an email with some of my collage pieces. I had been directed to her email address. I didn't know who she was. I'd never paid attention to anybody in this town who does anything for anybody. I really never did. And then I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much out there that I can be a part of and help give back to my community. And I wanted to do the utility boxes. So I'd contacted her about those, but all my pieces had writing. And support words for the. They weren't at the time. I think now they're opening up to it. The Madison Arts Commission. But so I sent her a. She said, Keysha, these are really great. However, do you have anything that doesn't have words? And I thought, I don't, but I'll make something. So I cut out this house. I was collecting cardboard scraps from Amazon and asking my manager if I could take them home, like giant pieces of cardboard and stuff. And I just, one night I was talking to my mom, I said, I'm going to do a collage tonight. I just feel like I'm called to do this. I did. And the next day I sent it, or that night I sent an image, a picture of it to Karen. She said, I have a perfect opportunity for you. Would you put this house, it was a house overflowing with love, on a wall downtown? We have a project going on. I had no idea that the protests were even going on. I hadn't noticed that I had completely fallen away from the reality of community. Where I got to where I was all of the support from loved family and friends and treatment counselors. And let me go back to the boarded project. She said, I have an opportunity for you. So she said, what about making prints of these? And I thought, that's exactly what I do. I make prints. So the city made giant prints of that image, and I put them up on the boards, and then I started painting around them, and I started seeing that other people were doing really Black power, Black Lives Matter focused pieces. And I felt really separated from, I didn't understand what was going on. And as a woman as a biracial woman, I've often felt torn with, okay, how much of my time and energy is meant to be devoted to my Black culture and the issues that are at hand here, and how much is spent with this little boxed in life that I built for myself, that I like to blame other people for having created, like my mom and people, like, how dare you not incorporate Black history into my life, that's my responsibility, but I blamed my mom for that my whole life.
I went through that, yeah.
Yeah. So then I started empathizing with what was going on around me, and I started realizing, okay, this is a bigger challenge. It's not about making money and exposure. It's about making a statement and really noticing that it's affecting people when they'd walk by and say, wow, that's so cool. I love that. It's so positive. I thought, awesome. So that's a start. I'm making a mess. I'm starting to give back that energy that I want for people to feel that I'm experiencing myself in my life, and I want to give that back. It was exposing us as artists to the community that loves art of this nature. And I joined Instagram, and thanks to random people walking by who would say, are you on Instagram? Do you have a handle? No, what's your handle? I was like, what? So I started Instagram, and then I started getting requests from people like Monroe Art Center if I wanted to become involved with the project. So a couple months following that, I painted a mural for them, and I started seeing like, wow, I'm using different styles of my art from over the years that I didn't even know were really part of me. That's really what I love to do, is express movement through my body in ways that are like showing something permanent for other people to recognize and be affected by in whatever way it affects them. But that's what I'm supposed to be doing, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm supposed to be. And my thing is, I like to be challenged. Obviously, like, I've made choices in my life where it's like, my dad used to say, you want to play hardball? It's like, yeah, I guess I do. I guess I do. Let's do this. I'm like, no, I'm going to go do this hard, and let's see what happens. So with the murals like this, when I see a wall like that for me is a challenge. When I see a billboard like that was bigger than I had expected once I started painting it.
Right?
But I need that. I need to be, I don't feel like I'm putting my all into it if I have a little piece. Now, if you have a little painting that you're doing, that's a whole different challenge.
the next phase, which I would say is start coming up with plans on what to do now moving forward, maybe we're still in the being heard part, you know. But I'm hoping that the policymakers are coming up with plans, even though they might not have been executed yet. I'm hoping that's what they're doing, because that's what they should be doing, is coming up with plans now. While the rest of us are still getting our voices heard, they need to be working on the plan, because they have, you know, that control. They are the ones that are able to do that.
Absolutely. Listening is so important. What would you like to see happen with your murals and the murals downtown here?
Wow, it would be awesome to keep them the original form and be put somewhere permanent. Even if they can't stay all together, just to have some really nice strategic places to put them and preserve them and just have them, because they're beautiful and they should be put up somewhere. Of course, we'd like to, you know, have little copies of them in magazines and posters and stuff like that. But because these were such profound statements and this beautiful artwork, I really think that they should, you know, should be able to each have a home somewhere, so it can stay interactive. Because that's what it was meant for.
Sure, and I liked your perspective where you often don't appreciate the people in your life until you're gone. So, like you said, even if it's hopefully not, you know, Black lives that are stolen by police, but people can add, you know, people that are close to them that, you know, they're realizing life is fleeting and precious. So.
You know, I should have actually wrote that on there. I wrote this part dedicated to Black lives stolen from police, but it is about, you know, that's my title, you know, loving people before they're gone, appreciating them, because we are not promised tomorrow, and this is not the only way we're losing lives. So just thinking. It helps invoke some change in our whole life, not just about these types of situations, but just invoking the change for our whole life and for everybody that's in it, you know. Did I tell you why I left this raw?
No, you didn't. Yeah, tell me about it.
Because I sure was about to paint it in, and I did this outline, so I was like, really hesitant. I was like, well, first of all, that's going to be a lot of work trying to make this look like real feathers, and I don't know if I want to do all that. And then I stepped back and I went, wait a second, why cover up the wound with a Band-Aid? Like, just showing that it was just some raw material behind here represented the rawness of this time and this movement. Yeah. And I just was like, oh wow, I'm just going to leave it there. Yeah, there you go.
That. The texture and kind of a golden color.
Yeah, and it looked like it was, you know, kind of painted until you step up close to it and you go, oh. There's that blue awning, and right underneath it says that's a K there, I think. There's a little white square next to that K. That's the picture.
Okay. And what does that say?
I just kind of scribbled it of a Black woman with a lot of hair, and it says "hands off." So there's a saying that us black women have not only had to deal with police, but we've also had to just deal with other people, the men in our lives, or people we've had to grow up with in our schools or at work, where there's this privilege that people think they can just put hands on black women or talk about our body or tell us what to do and judge us because we think we're too loud or we're too confident or we're just too. So we always say, like, you keep your hands off our body. Like, stop trying to change us and make us be something else that we're not. Because you're intimidated, you feel intimidated by us, you want to hold us back and not give us promotion. Admin, I had to go, okay, I got to suck it up, I might lose my job here, So even though her hands were not directly on my body, but she just did something that affected my body with her words. And so we go through that all the time. I mean, I've got a billion stories growing up here in Madison. In schools, kids were nasty to me. I used to get spit on and tripped going down the hallway and, all kinds of stuff. And I didn't, so many times you think, well, what did you do? What did they do to deserve that? Well, they had to have done something to deserve that. Yeah, no, that's not true.
No, exactly. And I think, being a woman, I can relate on so many levels. There's a lot of generational trauma. I want to thank you, Carrie, for taking the time to talk with me today. And
thank you.
Yeah, look forward to seeing what else, other creative things you come up with.
The girl that did that artwork, she is one of my old students. I want to say it's maybe from my first classes, 25 years ago. And it's just, when I was up here, I saw a lot of students who are artists that were up here, and they always come and they tell me, wow, Miss Carrie, we remember all these things, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's the part that makes it all. Yes. But just that she was an artist, she's also a teacher now. She's up there, doing this thing, and she turns around and she tells me, a lot of these things I do, Miss Carrie, were because you were supportive of me. And you were there for me. So I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. But as a teacher, I use my platform to try to educate my coworkers on how to treat kids, for example. So I'm like, no, there's certain things you can't be doing that.
Yeah. And what's next for you?
Oh boy. I don't know. I want to get my artwork out so that people can see it. I'm kind of my worst critic, and I make my art for my own pleasure. And every now and then when people come over and see my collection, they go, wow, you should let this out and let everyone see it. So I guess I'm going to start doing that. And I'd like to get into some projects and produce some art for people. So yeah, I'm getting my art studio together. I have a mobile art studio I'm working on. I'm excited about that. I want to have it ready for the summer so I can get out and do some painting right live on the spot, with not just by myself but with the community.
Yes.
So,
it's wonderful.
Yeah, just getting more art out there and spreading some joy, hopefully, through my expression.
Yes.
And then of course to start earning a income.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I get a picture of you in front of your wings?
You're like, you're gonna leave after the show.
Was it ringing?
Welcome back. Welcome back to Café Coda and Art Toast Live. I'm thrilled to be here with Carrie Morgan and Keysha Monique. And I'd love to introduce you to these two incredible Madison muralists. Their work was an inspiration for me to create the From Here On Out exhibit. Once again, I'd love to thank Hannah John Taylor and Café Coda for hosting us here for Art Toast Live. GoFundMe.com, keep.coda.alive. And artist Keysha Monique said of her multifaceted mural on the Overture Center for the Arts, upon this wall is an expressed feeling of love versus hate, anger versus peace, the idea of temptation, escape routes, freedom, a willingness to explore, spiritual emptiness versus fulfillment, complexities of race and encouragement for perseverance during trying times. I can really relate to that because I feel that we live in this universe of duality. And I'd like to say a little bit more about Keysha. She is a artist living in Madison, Wisconsin, born in 1980. With a life influenced by world travel and residency overseas. She has a BA in theater and drama from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 2008. And tragedies and victories of various forms have influenced her. She is compelled to devote her life to the creation of art geared toward the healing of one's self-perception and the ability to emphasize with life experience of others. Her art is expressed mostly in the form of collage using cutouts from local publications. We see some of them here on either side of me, which ultimately operate as a cognitive therapy tool for positive mental and emotional development, as well as in the form of large-scale murals, which aim to evoke a positive and spiritually uplifting essence for the sake of creating positive thought patterns and memories. And the video clips you just saw were taken at one of Keysha's most recent murals in Madison on East Washington Avenue that will be completed shortly, weather permitting. So welcome, Keysha.
Thank you.
And I'm also going to introduce Carrie, because what I'd like to do is have this be a little more conversational than interview-like. So I'd like to give you a little bit of background on both of the artists, and then we can chat. So Carrie is a native Madisonian. She grew up doing art. Her mother's an artist, and her sons are artists as well. Carrie specializes in portraits, watercolors. Carrie's art is right behind me. Jack of all trades, loves to dabble in all sorts of artistic creative endeavors. She can do everything from floral design to interior design. Carrie is an educator, a teacher, works with children in the community during arts and crafts at festivals, and she is currently working on an Artmobile. I can't wait to hear about that. That is so cool. So welcome both of you to Art Toast. I'm going to toast one more time.
One more time. Salud.
Both of you worked on murals, and either of you can jump in. These are going to be open questions, and let's have a conversation. So what were you trying to express with your murals?
I would say that initially I was wanting to express that I was an artist and that I was had the drive to complete a mission that I was given an opportunity to complete and help set a tone. And then it started turning into something else, but that was my initial expression, I would say.
How about you, Carrie?
I just wanted to get out and be a part of the movement and make my statement. The Love Me Now was meant to be interactive. I wanted people to engage with it. So when we named it Love Me Now, some of my co-artists and family were around, and we labeled it that because we were thinking about all of the people, that we've lost in the movement, and how so often when loved ones get together, it's usually at a funeral. When something bad happens, we all get together and we share our moments with the people who are no longer here. And I really wanted to just kind of give a platform for people to write down names of loved ones that they've lost, in hopes that people that were coming by could engage with it and just get into some thought about, the loss of a loved one and how we need to just embrace them before something bad happens. So just being a part and being able to make that statement was what I was excited to do.
That's great. And the interactive part is wonderful. And as we were down there, we saw that you were saying, "Oh wow, yeah, there's new names on here." And the interaction isn't always as positive, though. I know you had an experience with some of your murals. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, but it's happening all over.
Yeah, sure. People tend to express their own response to the art that's created, or the message that they may believe the art is expressing. And regardless of what their intention is, it has a different effect upon the artist. Myself, when my art is, it feels so possessive when I say my art, because it's not, I don't want to say it's my art. It's for everyone to enjoy. However, because I create it, I tend to take ownership of it and kind of feel greedy about it. And I feel like I've been, my boundaries have been stepped upon. So yeah, when I've had my work tagged, it allowed for me to really empathize with other people who experience something that they've spent a lot of time and effort that meant something to them to express to others and share joy in with others. When that's been destroyed on some level, I can understand some of the emotional roller coaster that is experienced in addressing that issue and learning how to deal with it in the future. So it's jarring.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
jarring.
And so many
It is.
artists that I've talked to view, art as their offspring, really. And it does come from this place of creativity. So, that really makes sense when you refer to it in that manner. And so what effects are you hoping that your murals will have on viewers?
Well, again, I have noticed when I'm up there with the work that I did that people do stop by and they read the names that are on there and they stand in front of it and take selfies, and they stop and explain their stories to me, and they ask me, can I add someone's name, and then they tell me the story, and we get engaged in that conversation, which is really awesome. It's starting those conversations like we want, and learning from each other. So I hope that that can continue. The art can continue to have people just stop and notice it and ponder on what's important in life, being our loved ones and caring about them now. It was quite profound while it was all going on, because I just remember just being in such a state of emergency when I was painting it. Like, all the artists were up there at the same time, just vigilantly painting, and we're all like, it's like we all had the same feeling at the same time, and it was just really magnificent to just see the people that were walking by and all the artists that were talking and collaborating and busy with their artwork, and just having the community come by and look at that and appreciate it, even though some people didn't appreciate it, but that's pretty profound too. That's just all part of it. And I hope that we can continue to inspire people to these kinds of thoughts that will provoke change.
You want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, I was going to say something, and then it just changed.
Go ahead, speak
What I noticed, because you were just talking about, let me talk over the rain. You were just talking about how we were all doing the same thing. And I agree with that, and I don't, because I'm going to turn this into a confrontational panel discussion. No, each individual artist was experiencing a different thing, because we were placed at very different locations, and we had different groups of people hitting us not hitting us, but coming into our space at different times, and that reflected about, okay, so down at the end of State Street by Library Mall, that's where I started out. That's one clientele. And then you are up on, then you have other people who are way up at the top by State Street Smoke Shop, or, along the Overture over there. And you have a different clientele that's generally walking around that area. So you have, I learned how to talk to people differently, or acknowledge, comments differently from various groups of people coming my way that I wouldn't normally be speaking to. And I learned a lot about watching other people, interact with, I guess, their crew that they were dealing with or encountering as well. It felt like a completely different experience for me than it did, because I tend to do my projects so solo, and you had a lot of group paintings as well. So I think our pieces spoke a lot about our personalities as well, not just in the message that we spread, but in watching how we work. I think it spoke volumes about, who we really are as people. And I'll stop it at that.
Yeah. And I think some artists are energized by people engaging and watching them work, and other artists, like I know when I'm hanging a show or hanging artwork and people are kind of watching it, puts you on the spot. So I know that can really evoke and elicit a lot of different, feelings and interactions. And I recall when Tony Caruccia, who was on our last Art Toast, was describing his painting experience, where he's out on the street at 2 a.m. trying to get these murals done, and there are still families out on the street at night, and it just, it is heart-wrenching sometimes. So there's just all sorts of things that come into play that you don't even expect, So how does it feel to have your art in such a public forum, and for anyone who walks by to see?
Well, I have not done very many murals because I'm so afraid of someone doing something to it, right? So when I did these, though, I felt like I was doing it, like I said before, out of just a need to make a statement. And so I wasn't really caring what might happen to them at the time. I was just gonna, put the statement out there. But generally, like every time I do a mural, I'm just like, how long is it gonna stay? Like I put my heart and soul into this. I want it to stay forever. Maybe, something will happen. But I'm still learning that it's for the public, and it might not stay forever. So when I do a mural, I just kind of go into it with that thought that, okay, this is going to be something that'll be up here temporarily, take plenty pictures, and then keep it that way. But I do kind of feel, like she was saying earlier, like when I do a mural, I feel kind of greedy about it. I want to keep it forever, and so I just hope that as I put more artwork out there, that the public will enjoy it, and that it will make people happy and provoke them to thought. I do have lots of different artwork that I do. I'm like I said, I'm a jack of all trades, and I kind of just paint by my mood too. So it'll be exciting to see how my art progresses and how the community will take it.
And I would say that I love my work being out there because that's my voice and my opportunity to help inspire people. And I tend to be more of a writer. That's really where that's my niche, is writing. However, the pressures of, I'm sure both of you do, of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to write a book. And you're like, whoa, where do I start? How do I get this message out? You're like, maybe short stories or maybe a poem. It's just like, whoa, that's overwhelming. So doing a mural, it's pressure, but it's at the same time, it's the best of all of those worlds for what, for the medium for what we have to work with, or what I have to work with. It's like writing a poem and a book, and it's sending why did I even start trying to explain that?
I noticed you do
Oh
use a
God.
lot of words.
Yeah.
I think
You know
that's-
what? I'll just point to that. One of those collage pieces, for example. Imagine if I wanted to do an entire wall. My brain is already expanding. Like, I want to do this. Of a 19-foot by 42-foot wall, which is the size of the mural I'm doing currently. Wow. With a positive message like that, which is all inspirational sentences and phrases and words that are helped, that are linked together in such a way that I just do on the fly. I cut words out, and then it starts shaping thoughts, positive thoughts that I think are helping, create new positive thought patterns for me. And I think that and I'm hoping that will help other people when they see that work. So they're, they get kind of lost in it, and then are just distracted from like those everyday menial thoughts that might limit us, or the way that we think about ourselves. But long story short, a mural, putting my stuff out there, gives me the chance to do something like that on a larger scale and work my way into figuring out how to do like the giant book mural. Now I just had a whole new idea.
Yay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Want to remind everybody to add your comments. We really love to have some interaction with you here. So if you have any questions for these lovely artists, please put your comments in. Tell me a little bit about your artwork here, Carrie.
Well, I would say that's my baby. It's from my private collection. It is a work in progress. It has no name, no title. I have been working on that, probably 15 years. It's simple, but it's got a lot of layers. So I've used it as kind of a diary throughout my life. When profound things happen in my life, I go and I seek out some scripture. So this painting has scripture embedded in it. And I find some scripture and I take it out of there and I put it on. I don't waste any of the paper that I use. I just layer it on there and just keep going. So whenever something inspiring happens in my life is when I add something to it. So that's why I say it's kind of a work in progress, because it's not finished. I usually keep it up on my wall and just walk past it. And like I said, when I get some inspiration, I add something to it. So for me, it's kind of neat having seen it grow over the years.
Nice. Can you tell us a little about your process? Like, how do you go about tackling a 42 by 20 foot wall and yeah.
I start with color. I want it to be really vibrant, and then I start with familiar shapes, fish. So I'll get
Why
an
fish?
idea for, I don't know where that came from. I really don't, but I think it could have come from like laying on my back as a kid in school at recess and looking at the clouds and seeing different shapes and animals. Usually I'd see like an elephant or something very obvious,
Yeah.
or like familiar to a kid, but then fish, somehow I always see whales and sharks and in the clouds, and I really don't know where the fish came from, but it's a go-to theme of mine. Like I see it when I look at an empty palette. I'll go for I know that I can use the blues and the greens and create a warmth of the. That's a really difficult question, actually. I'm just going to leave it at that. I start with color and shape, and then it starts developing from there.
I kind of like I visualize what I'm going to do too. I put a lot of thought into it first. I'm kind of like kind of standoffish to just plunge right in, something I'm working on. But I kind of just think about it and just, plan it out, and then I'll go for it when I start doing the work. Yeah.
Nice. So how did you both begin your journeys as artists?
When I was a young girl, I loved to explore a lot. I was always out in nature by myself. I'd take walks, and I'd take my notebook and my little box of whatever I was going to design with. I'd go for walks, take pictures of plants and trees and bugs and flowers and whatever. I'd either sit out in the field or in the woods and start drawing something, or take it back to my house and work on it later. I started I was very observant all my life, kind of OCD, I guess. And I would just notice things. I would see things. I'd see the details in the trees and in the flowers, and I was so amazed by just the intricacy of life and all the beauty. When I look at people, which is one of my favorite things to paint, I would find myself staring at people and like kind of tracing their face and their eyes and their hair and their build and everything, and I'd have to stop myself and be like, stop staring, Carrie, like you're staring. But it just shows how much detail I was into and looking at, and that just really helped me in my artwork. So I was just always drawing or pulling out magazine, pictures and putting them together as collages, or using yarn to add to something. I was always just taking whatever I could find and making something out of it. I remember bringing the class pet home and building out of a cardboard box this elaborate condominium with rooms and hallways like a maze. And so I was always just really creative. And then I started teaching, and so then I was afforded the opportunity to kind of start all over again with art and teaching children's art and seeing some of my students grow into artists and teachers also, so that's inspiring. I've had a lot of people just come and ask me, who know that I can do things. They ask me to either paint a portrait or build something for them. And so I've just kind of it's been a lifestyle. I've just always created and always painted. And I can sit right now, like draw a portrait of you guys, or a little, sketch of us all sitting here. It kind of relaxes me too in my free time. So I've just been kind of absorbing it and just being the art all my life. So
Nice. How about you? Theater major, world
Yeah.
traveler. How did you get on this art wagon?
I was going to say, like Carrie, I started out playing in my neighborhood, like making house piles of leaves and digging to China, if either of you did that. I never made it. but
Digging
a China in the
Yes,
sand, you
yes,
know,
exactly.
I went to the Gingerbread House, which was on Northport, which
Oh,
was
wow.
like, it was an after-school center, like a preschool center for kids that are underprivileged, and they really accentuated their arts program. I will never forget the smell of Play-Doh and like
Right.
colored rice.
And the taste.
Yeah.
Homemade Play-Doh.
You know what I mean? It was just really special. Like
Yeah.
those shaped my
Yeah.
artistic creativity. I mean, I had two sisters. One of them made Barbie clothes a lot out of trash that we dig out of the dumpster, and like, I guess she told me the other day, one of my sisters, that we made like Barbie bras out of dryer sheets. It's my poor mom, you know. We used to tear them up and do stuff like that. So similar, started in childhood.
Nice. Have either of you used your art practice to process the current events or comment on current social or political issues?
You know, just before coming here tonight, actually, I started a project. I was starting another collage. I wanted to cut out pieces that matched emotions that I was experiencing based upon my interpretation of what kind of a helplessness that I feel right now as an artist in this whole movement. I just don't know how to express myself. And I thought the collage is my strongest voice in my, you know, just really like, once I can start seeing some of the words, then I can start putting the thoughts together, and it can be really healing. So I did that. I don't think it worked, right? Because I cut out like 8 words, but it started something. I was feeling something and releasing something. And that's kind of one of your questions before of where does this come from, and how do,
Great. Yeah,
Awesome.
we've got some questions. Yeah, please do.
Karen Wolf asks, what are your current projects? Or where are your current projects?
Where are your current projects?
Hi, Karen. Thank you. My current projects are one that I'm not really speaking on at the moment. I just got assigned it, and the other one is a independent project, which is at I guess I'm looking at the camera now. Is at East Washington, 1444 East Washington. Where? And there you are. Okay. And that is a ginormous mural that is at the old Art Inn building. So right now I am doing a lot of finishing touches on the outlining of the shapes. If you drive by that spot, you can see the enormity of the mural, and your heart will reach out to me because it's taking some time. But that's what I'm working on currently. Thank you for asking.
And that's an extension of a billboard that you painted too, right? Kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called A Wish for Change. That's what the project is called. So I started with a billboard, which Karen helped me through an arts commission, through the Madison Arts Commission. And then Jack Chandler, the building owner, had this wonderful idea to extend the billboard concept onto the wall. And I thought I could do that easily. And it's working, and it's been quite an experience. And I'm excited to see the finished piece. So I'm excited for you all to see the finished piece.
Great.
Good. Can't wait to see it.
And
when
where are
it's
yours
finished.
located, Carrie?
Well, I am currently working on a project with my camper. I have a mobile art studio that I am working on. I'm very excited. It is, right now, it's in front of my house. But I am in the process of painting the inside and renovating, putting up chairs and tables so that people can come on and I can do like paint parties and craft parties. I usually go and do events, festivals, or at school or different private parties, and I carry around all my boxes of things from place to place. And so I thought having my art studio on the go would be awesome. So I recently purchased a camper. I started gutting it and renovating it. The last thing I'm going to do is paint the outside, so that's going to be exciting. So my little business, if you will, is called See Thyself, and I want to bring the art to you and have the art be, around what you want to have happen. So that's what I'm working on right now.
That's exciting for both of you guys. That's great. More questions, Micah? And maybe I should reiterate. I don't know, can people hear you when you ask the question? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe repeat it. This one is from my father. He says, "What stories did you encounter on State Street that might inspire future pieces?"
So a viewer wants to know, what stories did you encounter on State Street that might inspire future pieces?
Well, the theme that I keep hearing obviously is about loving one another, whether no matter what color you are, religion, male or female. It's been about how can we change and just be more patient and kind and loving towards one another despite all our differences. And I've really been thinking about that. And in the sketches that I'm doing in my little projects at home, I've been painting people, men and women together, the body form, which is one of my favorite subjects too. So I've just been thinking about love and how I can express what love looks like. So I'm just really, I've got a lot of sketches going in my notebooks that I'm going to turn into something. So I have been thinking about that, is just how to express what love looks like.
Nice. How about you, Keysha? Did you hear any stories that inspired you?
Did I hear any stories?
Yeah. Or were any
Oh,
of them-
yeah. Actually, I'll talk about that. There was an encounter with one of the artists that somebody had come and taken something out of his hand, and he reacted in a way that surprised him. It startled him, and it was one of those fight or flight responses. And he was hard on himself about his response, but he grew from it and learned for his next encounter how to go about really taking a step back and thinking, okay, why did that affect me that way? It's allowed for me to really remain true to myself in my pieces, but also being honest with what emotions I'm experiencing that I'm incorporating into my pieces. I don't want to hide what's really happening to me to make somebody else happy, but I also want to not explode maybe unhealthy emotions that the public is going to interpret as something they need to experience themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Do you have another question?
One more question. My question is, what is the biggest way we as the community can support artists like you?
So what is the biggest way the community can support artists like yourselves?
Coming by every time I'm working and saying, "You are the most fascinating artist I have ever seen. Oh my gosh, how can I support you? You are phenomenal. Why aren't you in New York?"
That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't know. Of course, just having the community stop by and give their input about the work is definitely something, supportive. I don't know. I guess just giving some feedback and maybe helping out with our GoFundMe pages. I don't know. It's takes a little extra to get supplies and to do what we do, you know, and to show up and spend the long hours doing these phenomenal works of art. So sometime I guess just making those little ends meet might help. But I don't know, just really giving feedback about it too really helps me as an artist to grow. I do like to do the art that pleases me, but in me coming out and bringing my art out into the public, I want to know what kind of art they want to see too. So what will make a statement. I think me bringing my art out into the public is about saying saying things, not only about what I feel, but just trying to help those that can't voice their feelings and expressions. I want to help, help them too. So.
Yeah, great. And I think you brought up a really good point, Carrie. So often the arts are relied upon to revitalize a neighborhood or to beautify a space, and the artists are expected to do it because they're passionate about it, because they love it, because they're driven to create. Arts have to be funded, they have to be supported. So please, please, please keep this in mind when you see that beautiful artwork, when you see artwork hanging in your restaurants and cafes. Know that artists have put a lot of work into that, and they need to be compensated for the work that they do. That is imperative. They are creators, they are educated, they are worth every penny. So support the arts. We're about at time, so I want to thank Café Coda again for hosting us here. I also want to share that we have these wonderful limited edition bandanas designed by Tony Cataruccia,
Nice.
Café Coda and Marzen, hosting from here on out. They can double as a wonderful COVID masks. So check us out online, integratedartllc.com, and keep Coda alive, GoFundMe.com, keep.coda.alive. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Wonderful to have you both here.
Thank you.
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah.
And a last art toast for the evening. Cheers.